Hey everybody, what's going on? It is Drew here back from S Squared. So I got a new front chainring for my 2012 Trek Rumblefish full suspension mountain bike. Problem is, I don't have my work stand here. It is still buried in our storage unit as we are still slowly moving stuff from the storage unit into the house, and that hasn't been one of the priorities. So I am going to go a little old school. Seth's Bike Hacks a few years ago posted a video of building a little stand out of some 2x4s. I've got some scraps kicking around. If you haven't checked out Seth's Bike Hacks and you're into kind of mountain biking, mostly mountain biking, he's got a lot of really good helpful tips and tricks for both novices, intermediates, and kind of more advanced riders. So hit that video link in the description down there, and I am going to get to building. So here is what I've pulled out of the scrap pile. Two pieces that have been ripped down before. They are roughly 18 inches long by an inch and a half by inch and a half square. Kind of some cutoffs of something that I split down. And then I've got a 4-foot regular 2x4 that I'm going to split in half. And this is going to be assembled to kind of hold the rear wheel stable so the bike doesn't fall over so I can work on it. Now with it nice and stable, I can get to replacing the chainring. So the first step in replacing the chainring is to remove the chain. I don't have a chain retention device on my mountain bike, so I can just kind of snake the chain off the narrow wide chainring that's on here and pull the chain over the top of the crank arm. Once it's freed from the crank arm, you can start removing all 4 bolts holding the existing chainring on the crank arm and can get the chainring off of the crankset. You can, if you have a little bit more space, you can pull the whole arm apart, but I think it's easier to just do it all on the bike, not have to worry about it. I do apologize for my lack of a belt here in this video. I didn't realize it until after I was done filming. But the stool that I am sitting on is actually the rear triangle section of an old 26-inch Raleigh, I think M60 or M40 mountain bike. That was my mom's, that had been kind of sitting out in the weather, pretty much deteriorated, but it makes a really nice shop stool, kind of hang out on a bike. So once we get all that cleared off, we can thread the new crank arm or the new chain ring on. Once we get the new chain ring on, we can go through and reattach all of the bolts to it and get the chain back on, paying special attention to once we get the chain back on to have the narrow wide part of the crank, so the narrow section of the crank line up with the narrow section of the chain, and the wide section of the chain line up with the wide section of the crank arm. This kind of really helps prevent drop chains. So go from here and hopefully we get it out. So here's the new 32 tooth Solodrive chainring. I'm going to throw a link in the video description down below to the Amazon link where I picked this thing up. I'm going to be actually racing on this here in a few months down in Poinsett, South Carolina. So I'm going to be doing a full in-depth review of how I like it and what's going on with it. Notice I am missing a chainring bolt. Apparently I lost it, so I've got to head out and pick a new bolt up here beginning of this week and get that replaced before I take this out for a spin. But here she is, and that's kind of a overview of the bike. Like I said, it's a 2012 Rumblefish tubeless, running 1X10 with the SRAM X7 rear derailleur. Definitely not the latest and greatest, but it is still a awesomely fun bike to ride. Thanks for watching today.